Hello everyone, welcome. It is Friday and it's time to do some painting. If someone wants to throw a comment out there, let me know that you can see it. Oh, there's a few people watching. All right, so I did not much to prepare here, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to prep the canvas. Some of you guys might not have seen my YouTube video, how we prep the canvas for the wet on wet style. Here's your chance, your lucky day. Just dipping my brush here, getting some of that liquid white out there on my brush. And I'm just gonna move this. There's lots of different ways to do it. I like to put a nice even distribution of color. That way I don't have to worry about dipping into it 600 times. And it gives me an idea if I need to put some more on right away or not. I think that should be good. So, real difficult here. Just grinding, making little crisscross strokes, trying to keep the brush touching the canvas. You don't want to go flicking and fluking. And you just slowly work over and over, overlap a lot, redo a lot as you need to. Oh, there goes all the socials. Gonna get in my way again. So I got anyone saying hi. I am recording for the YouTube channel. But I'm not like recording your comments or nothing. So feel free to watch this YouTube at a later date. Just know there's a whole bunch of comments that you can't see. So working one side, I'm almost done now with the main part. This is the hard part. This is what wears my arm out. Just getting this kid. This is an 18 by 24 canvas today. We're going old school, old size. Normally I paint on a 16 by 20 canvas. That's what just works for me, like in the classes that I teach. But this one here is hopefully, if I do it right, is going to be more of a display piece, so I want it full size. Not oversized, just bob size. So once I have that on there, I'm just still working it across. Kind of do these long vertical strokes, horizontals. Brings it all to a similar thickness on the canvas. And then we're going to give it our little touch test. That's actually a fairly light. We want to be able to see our fingerprint grooves through the paint. I think we're right on target. It could be a little heavier, it could be a little lighter. Not much lighter though. But you don't want too much on there either, so that's a good gauge. I'm just going to knock some of the excess paint off here. I'm about ready to throw some paint up on the canvas. So today I thought we're going to do, I was thinking we were going to do a nice version here of one of the most classic Bob paintings out there. No prizes today. I sent off gifts twice this week to people who guessed the episode, but I'm running low on stuff to send, so you can have bragging rights if you can name the episode, but that's about it. All right, so we got our palette here. We got most of the colors. How about that? Oh, I even forgot one. Forgot my sap green. Let's not even begin without having the last color out there. Goodness gracious. Where would we be if we didn't have our sap green? And I just locked this paint down onto the canvas, or onto the palette here, because even with these being pretty thick, dry colors, sometimes they'll want to sneak down there. They'll just sort of start falling. So you lock it down with a little short little runway. Makes it all good. Little crisscross strokes. Add a little bit of color. Ideally, you want it a little bit darker at the top. Let it mix in with this liquid white as we get down. And then if you need to, you add a little bit more color. I kind of work my way down a little bit. That's about it. Pretty simple. Now, you know, maybe I want it a little bolder. Throw a little bit of bold into it. Something like that. We'll come back to it. And I still put out way too much of the phthalo green, but that's all right. Just gonna tap, get some color up on the brush. It's a little bit, just a touch to the green side. See? Not too much, just a touch. And pull in from the outside. Oh, today we're not doing too much, just about a third of the way up. And it can come out a little bit here and there. Doesn't have to be an exact line. I'm going to make this one short, go up and then come out a little longer, and then maybe a little shorter. And maybe we'll see a little sheen of light. Push it like that. Something like that. Ooh, that's nice. And again, if you want it a little bolder, you can always come back and throw a little bit more color on there. That's pretty light, so if we want to darken it up a little bit, no one can tell you no. Something like that. Let's clean the brush. I've got my odorless thinner in a bucket with a screen, you know the drill. And just sort of scrape it off, and I'm going to I bought this new mineral spirits, highly refined and very, very pricey, so I'm going to shake off a lot before I beat the devil out of it. All right, mostly clean and dry. Do a little bit on the easel, and we're going to come back here. And I'm just going to do a light blend, starting from the middle and working my way up, just to make it lighter at the base, darker in hue as we get to the top. Just lightly going across it. Some of that blue fills into the lighter areas. And finish it off with a couple of strokes like that, and we're good. For the water, I go end to end. One long stroke, pull some of that color into the middle, but it still leaves it a little lighter. Very, very simple. Really? No one comment? No comments yet? Are we live? Are you 14 people out there? Are you having a good time? Did you have a long week? Are you just starting a night shift? Tell me. Tell Ted your troubles. All right, I'm 5 minutes into it and I'm already loopy. Just going to knock some of this excess color off. We'll get back to it. I guess I didn't put in the title. This is, you know, some painting with some free therapy, so tell Ted what ails you. We're gonna make some big fluffy clouds here, and see what I mean? A little bit of oil, a touch of the bright red, and I'm gonna load a lot of paint into this 1-inch brush, just a little bit at a time. See, just scrape down, scrape, and I'm just picking that color up. See how it creates that rounded edge? Loading it for bear. Hey, that's right, knee pad. Oh, you just wait. You just wait, knee pad. It's going to get crazier. Little circles, and keep the brush moving. We put all that color up in the brush so we can get it out there on the canvas. Something like that. And then we'll take our clean dry 2-inch brush. You know the drill. When I'm teaching my classes, I call this, this is Bob's like 3-step blending method here. The 3-step blend. Step 1 is just stirring this color downwards, leaving the top alone. We'll get back to that. Stirring it down. Step 2 that Bob does is we fluff up. Fluffing from the bottom up, just barely touching. Going right across there. That paint is so thick, it shouldn't move other than maybe a little wisp or two. And the third step is just going over it super lightly with the horizontal stroke. Takes out any of the other harsh brush strokes. You can fluff and stir and keep going over and just doing it over and over and over, and pretty soon it'll just blend away. So once you get it on there, just move on. Better yet, load up your brush again, come up here, and let's add another one here. Maybe this one kind of meanders right on off, but this is important. This bright white top goes through the blended part of the previous cloud. That's the secret of creating layers and layers of clouds. Get it on there bright at the top. Oh, kind of dull right there, ran out of color. So we'll just throw a little bit more on there. And then we come back with our brush. And we do the same thing. We stir it down. Try to leave the top alone. Knock the paint off. Fluff it up. One direction, maybe two direction. And then very lightly blend it across. Look at that. Now we've got 2 layers of clouds. Sometimes I'm going to show you the other trick that I did here. I'm going to take this cloud and maybe add a little section to it. A little fluffy bit. Bore you that quick, huh? Daughter said, "Oh, I haven't watched your stream with you in a long time."
I'll be back.
Lasted right to the second cloud. So there we go. We got a couple of nice little fluffy clouds there, and you could do stormy clouds. You could do a whole sunset instead. Put in 5 different yellows and reds and all that good stuff if you want to. We're just doing a simple sky to get you started. Nice, maybe a fall day. I don't know. Let's mix up a color and put in a nice mountain. Get a little bit of that oil off of there. You've had a few beers, huh? Well, I'm a couple behind you, but we'll see what happens. We're going to mix up a color here. So we're going to take some Prussian blue, a bit of brown, just a touch of crimson, maybe a little bit more. All right, let's give that a shot. And it's just going to make a very dark, almost black color. Very deep purple. Do, 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 do. And if you put a little bit of crimson in it, it goes purple. But if you put a little bit of brown into it, it dulls everything down. All right, I think that's probably good enough. Cut it off, get a little roll of color. And we're making a pretty giant mountain here today. And it's going to be, oh geez, let me just double check my reference here. Yes. We're putting it a little bit over, let's just go right on over there. These little rolls of color we just push onto the canvas, and I can touch this way. Sometimes you drag and draw, whatever way you want to do. Maybe another little lumper right there. Something. I like sort of planning them out with that knife touch. You know, it allows you to get a little bit more particular about your mountain. Something like that. That's a good start. It could be a little taller. I kind of like how the cloud comes through, though. I think in Bob's example here, he had clouds all over on both sides, but I'm just going to push some of this color in, and then it's really just scrape most of this dark color off. Push it in, scrape it away. And maybe I'm going to shape some of these here so they're not too V-like or pyramid-like. Either the trough here or the peak. Maybe I may make the peak a little pointier, maybe not so pointy, just depending on your mood that day. There we go. And let's go ahead and clean a brush again. It's been 5 minutes. Got to keep people interested. Shaking it out. All right. We'll go ahead, take our 2-inch brush here, and I'm just going to touch and pull this right on down. You don't want to go over that outside edge. Pulling it down, trying to find just the general idea of what peak's going to be where. On this side here, ooh, we just pull that right on off. See how it just drifts off and gets lighter and lighter? That's what we want. And here I'm just sort of cleaning out the brush here while filling in the general idea of what's going to happen here. Every peak has to have a highlight and a shadow. So we're going to pull the highlights to the right and the shadows to the left. And I'm done. I really just want to keep playing with it. See here, I snuck it over a little bit, but that's all right. A little bit extra came off. That's our happy accident. Pulling some like that, and we've got, I like that. And the mountain just kind of ends in this little misty area there. So, coming up on highlights to the mountain. I'm just cruising right along. This is going quick. Just the lightest touch of that bright red, just like we did with the clouds. The barest hint. Oh, this is a big canvas. I'm probably going to need a little bit more of this red before I'm done. But we'll get it started here. Let me knock this napkin off. Or at least fold it over so I can use a little bit more of it. Cut off the little roll of color. And we're going to come in here. Just feel this paint barely touch. So just feel that paint start to stick, and then you just let the knife go right on down the canvas. Right up there on the top. Holding it a little bit too tight. Gotta have a nice light touch to it. Something like that. Maybe if you want to extend these out a little bit, just to get it started. Something like that. I don't think I had enough paint on the brush that time. There it goes. All right. There we go. That didn't take too long. We got a whole canvas full of mountains. Space champion, you crack me up. All right, we're just going to mix up a little bit of shadow color here. And it's just a little bit of Prussian blue. Prussian blue and white. Okay, scrape, scrape, blend. Scrape, 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 pull. Something like that. Maybe a little touch here and there. Something like that. All right, so kind of come up here and just lightly touch and pull it out to the left. Highlights to the right, shadows to the left. Just got to remember to stop. All right, that's getting a little small. Luckily for me, I've got a small knife. So sometimes you gotta use the smaller knife so you can sneak into the smaller bits here. And we're just sort of sneaking this shadow behind every main peak there. Got a little guy right there. And you can just sneak in the shadow wherever you see some of these gaps. I can come back to my big knife here. I got big old gap right there, no big deal. Some people might fill it up with all new highlights or just cover the whole thing up, and that's fine. But if you've got these gaps, even with this little small edge here, see, I can come in here and just sort of pick out these little dark areas and pull them to the left, and that adds like depth and distance there. Or if you're worried about that, there you go. You can just sneak some of that right up in there. But let's say you want to change up the highlight. So I'm going to come right in here and just sort of add a little something to it. Just a little sort of a outcropping or a little ridge poking out our way. Well, you know, it's not easy the first time you do it, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. So if it looks easy, if I'm making it look too easy, I've just practiced a lot. You can do this. change up the angle a little bit. Now, hopefully, that looks like it's a separate little part there. And let's see here. Well, how much more do I want to play? I want to throw a little bit of snow right there. Extend that down a little bit. What the heck? And as we come forward here, I'm bringing it down a little bit more. That's going to help it change the perspective as well, that this is further away in distance than say, this part. All right. Well, we'll get some happy trees in there. Of course, we can't put in the trees yet. Oh, I got to clean the brush. You know, you got to put in the background here before the foreground. So now I'm just going to tap, and then I sweep. Kind of like how I fluff the clouds, I just sweep backwards. Okay, and let's see here. Tapping and sweeping up the highlight. Just enough to diffuse some of this, and then you sweep up just to take out any harsh tap marks. And if you do it just so, following the process, you get this illusion here of all this mist and fog and dissipation, I guess, of the light. You can overdo it. You can make your whole mountain disappear if you go too crazy. But just enough to sit this mountain, sort of sitting it into the clouds, right? But it's really mist at the base. This white part that we didn't even paint becomes part of the painting. Isn't that sweet? All right. The wizard guy is trying to copy the lizard guy, and it's pathetic. Oh my gosh, there was a guy with a wizard and a cat? Okay, now the insult makes sense. Okay. Well, you know, can't please them all. All right, let's go ahead while I'm sitting here contemplating my life as a wizard. I clean a brush and set it aside. I'm gonna not worry about that brush. Maybe clean this brush. Cry a little bit. Remember that good things happen too. Yeah, that's right. That's the liquid white that we put on there as the base coat, and we bring the mountain down just to where the white part is, and just tap. You'll see here in just a second. I'll expand on that notion. Today, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna use the old oval brushes here, and because I got two fairly new ones, can you guess which one I use for the darks and which ones I use for the highlights? I think you can. We're gonna make sorry to go Captain Kangaroo on you. We're gonna make up a big pile of color, and it's gonna be similar to that mountain color. A big old hunk of blue, big old hunk of brown, not so much crimson, and not so much sap green. Okay, watch this. Oh my God, I got so much color out here. My mixing area is a lot smaller than it usually is. Mix up this color. Big old pile of color. Ha, nephead. That cracked me up. All right, we're gonna put this big old pile of color up there. Pull some of it down. Maybe not so much. Pull some of it down, and we're gonna throw some white into it. Maybe just a touch more. Maybe a touch more. Maybe a lot more. See, that's how you always mix dark into light. You mix light into dark and you end up with using a lot of white paint. All right, clean the old knife. We're done with that for a little while. And we're going to take that round brush, or I'm sorry, the oval brush. Get both sides full of color. Something like that. If you use a lot, look at that chiseled edge time. But we don't need that much. I don't have to go too crazy with it. So what we are going to do is there's a little bit that I broke the plane there. Oh, we'll just do that. Ooh, this is a dark first layer. I should have made it even lighter. That'll learn me. Just like we did the other day. This has got a similar concept here. Just going to put some of this color on. Now remember here, there's really no paint. It's just that liquid white and just a little bit of detritus from the mountain there. But I take my 2-inch brush and I just start tapping it. Now, I'm not even dragging it. All I'm doing is tapping it, and this rapid motion destroys the bottom edge of the foothill here and adds a layer of mist. The more you tap it, the more mist you get. And then you just pull up gently, just a little bit, and we've got ourselves a foothill. You can even blend it like this, but it doesn't need it. Isn't that something? This is oil paint. We use the official tools and supplies when I'm teaching my classes here and doing some demos. I like using the stuff that works for me. I added a little bit, and I'm just going to tap that out. Don't want to forget it. Now, this is so easy. I just take a little bit of dark, and I go right back into that same color. Just a little bit of dark. Darkens it up. And then we can do the next layer. And I say this time we're going to come over here and come right around, something like that. Before it gets too light or run out of paint, I should say, oop, hair. I'll just tap a little bit, and let's load in our second little layer of foothill. And then once again, destroy it. There we go. See how I didn't, I left a little bit of mist there. I didn't paint all the way up. If you feel you want to change something, that's okay. Maybe make it a little taller right there. Why not? Groovy. Why did I leave a big spot there? Why did I leave a big white spot there? Oh, the world may never know. So now I'm going to come in here. I'm going to add a little bit more dark right to that same color. Let's make it significantly darker. How about that? And maybe there's not as much mist on this particular thing there, but we can still find a little. Darker and darker as we come forward. You know what? I don't want to spread too much of this color downward, so I'm just going to use the 1-inch brush, because that'll keep me a little on my toes. A 2-inch brush will really keep me on my toes, so I'm going to use the 1-inch there so I can see a little bit of more control, I guess. Oh, look at that! Look at that little line of mist that's going to form there. Maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't. This painting fills in quick. There we go. All right, let me clean this oval brush out of here. Not very fun to clean, it's just a little guy. So, I'm going to take this opportunity to say Instagram is I'm tedsim. If you're interested in buying this, feel free to message me on any of my socials. Here on Reddit, I'm user tedsim. YouTube, Facebook, my website is Nature's Brush Studio. And that's it for advertising. No begging. No begging beyond that. Where's my beverage? All right. Well, thanks, Rhett990. Glad to see you here. All right, let's continue on this merry path with our fan brush. And we're going to, first let's clean up some of this stuff. And let's clean up some of this stuff. Whoa. So I got my big old pile of color here. I'm going to grab a little bit of more phthalo green, a little bit of brown, a little bit of that crimson. I'm just going to knock a little phthalo green into it. What the heck, right? All pure dark color. Something tells me I'm going to be mixing up more of this stuff. All right. We're going to load our fan brush, just pulling some of that color into the brush. Pulling, pulling, pulling. Lots of color, but a nice chiseled edge. And let's see here. We're gonna make some trees that are a little bit bigger. I'm sorry, a little bit closer, so we'd be seeing a little more detail. So I'm just tapping in a downward fashion here. See, I'm just taking and I'm tapping downwards. And all I really care about is the top part. Okay, just those little toppers. If those look all right, that's all we're going to worry about. And of course they're going to look all right, because this is super simple. They don't all have to be super pointy and perfect, and these are just way off in the distance here. So it's trying to save a little bit of mist. And I'm going to fill in the bottom there, working my way out. No great detail at this point. Did I say that enough? When I'm teaching, I got to say the same thing 5 different ways, just in case. Some people listen differently. Some people like being told what to do. Some people like to be told what not to do. Ooh, that was a tall one. Let's go ahead and extend some of this out, just in case. A lot of it's going to get covered up, so it don't matter too much. Might as well put it all in and cover it up than have a gap where we didn't really want one. Makes sense, right? All right, so one more time into the cleaning bucket we go. Just want to take off that white out of my brush there. And you really want it clean and dry. So if you got a towel or something, you can go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off about half of it and just pull straight down. Touch, pull, touch, pull. Hopefully mostly in a horizontal line across there. You don't want to be going down, down, up, up, down, down, up, down. What did I say? And then on the other side of the brush, I can just gently pull some of this down like that. Now, Bob doesn't do it because Bob's Bob. I need to knock a little excess paint off my brush before I attempt this. I want to come over extremely lightly and just diffuse that a little bit. And of course, Bob being Bob, he didn't have to go back and touch in some of these like I did. Just a couple there. And if you need to straighten it up again, find your line. Oh, Nelly, be careful. 2 hairs and some air. It's almost like I'm waving at it, like fanning a hot my hot face, just barely waving it across. Well, thanks, Funk 707. Oh, we really dropped off viewers. Oh my God, am I getting worse as I go? Oh man, I like it when it hits and I have a big audience. It just, I don't know, makes me feel good. So we got to separate this. We got to separate the land from the water. And to do that, it already makes it look like water. So we just come up here with a little bit of liquid white. That was a lot. Say a little bit of the titanium white. Sort of mix those two together. And if it has just maybe a bare hint of brown to it, that's fine. And what I want is I want the paint on that edge, not on the sides like for the mountains, but on that leading edge. And a little bit goes a long way. So I'm just going to touch, feel that paint stick, and then I just try to cut through the canvas here. The more you go over it, the more blended it looks. Now I had a little bit of variation there, so I'm gonna go with it here. So I had a little bit, literally like 1/8 of an inch difference with my reflection. So I just change up the water line to take advantage of that, and that makes it look a little more interesting than just a 2-dimensional line across there. There's a little variation. Nothing wrong with a little variation. There we go. As long as you keep it generally level, it looks pretty darn good. Ooh, we're cruising. What are we doing now? We are doing gigantic trees. And I think, let's go ahead and mix up even more color here. All that blue, most of that brown. Let's use the rest of that phthalo green, maybe even a touch more of the sap. And we're gonna load it up. Maybe a little bit more of the crimson too. What the heck? We're not going to use it for anything else. Tell you what, there we go. That's a good idea, Ted. All that crimson. And phthalo green, just that little bit of phthalo green and crimson make a nice dark gray. So that's good. We want this to look basically black. Oh, and that's a lot of color. That's a lot of color. We're going to get crazy here. Crazy times, just like Bob did. All right. Two-inch brush. 2-inch brush. We're going to make our little Bobby evergreens with the 2-inch brush. Oh, and we need a lot of paint to do it. Just keep loading this brush, pulling it in, giving it a good wiggle to get all that paint built into the bristles there, and it starts to come together right now in the brush. And look at that chiseled edge. Gorgeous. Lots and lots of color here. It's been a while since I've done these with the 2-inch brush. Now we're going to come right up here and let's go ahead and let's go big here. I'm going to touch just to get it started. Did I not have it chiseled enough? I think I didn't. Let me load a little bit more. There we go. And just using the corner of the brush, boom, big tree. There we go. And we'll put another little guy right up here. He kind of just meanders off. You might not see a lot of detail there. You know what? Sometimes when you spreading the paint out, it gets too spread out, so I just gather it back up again. Just trying to pull it all and get it all worked up into the bristles so those bristles come together and a little bit of a chiseled edge. Ooh, that one worked out okay. So let's go ahead and let's bring this little guy in. Something like that. And a little taller. There we go. So now we're gonna let's make a big old leafy tree. So I just take that brush, it's still got tons of paint in it, I turn it on its side, and I just pull and I'm gonna shape the brush just like we did with the clouds. Look at that. All that lacy effect. Now that's going into the brush like that, and that brush develops that nice rounded edge just like how we did it for the clouds. So I come up here and let's just say, oh, we're gonna have a big old tree right there. And as we need to, maybe I'll change it up a little bit, change that topper just slightly, but all I'm doing is just bending the brush. Getting all this dark color out there. Look what happens when I bend. These bristles bend and deposit the paint. All these little sticks and twigs like to pop out. Come up here, load this brush again. Oh boy, I might have to gather my paint again. And this is just an idea of what's going to happen here. All this background color. We can do whatever we want here. Like Bob says, get an old shoe or a paint roller. I've done that on a stream before a while back. I had some kind of glue roller thing, and I used it like a paint roller. You don't need to do it. It's just a silly gig. Silly gag. Gig? Gag? Gog. There we go. Boy, what a mess. Let's do something about that. Look at this brush weighs more. Big time with all that paint residue in there. That should leave it a nice color for a couple of weeks. And holy moly, this is looking nice. I'm not super thrilled with the 2-inch brush, but I wanted to give it a try for these. I do a much better job with the, I think it looks better with the fan brush, but that's just me. All right, so you got to keep your skills up just in case someone asks. I saw Bob do it with the 2-inch brush. Why can't you do that? I bet you can't do that. Well, Sonny, I can. And if you want to break out your checkbook, I'll prove it to you. So let's go ahead and let's get a little bit of this Van Dyke Brown, a little bit of dark sienna. A little more dark sienna. Oh, I haven't seen some dark sienna in a while. There we go. A little roll of color. And I'm just going to take the brush and make a little stalk right up there. My 2-inch brush can't get that fine, but I can drag a little bit of that color up. And then using the knife there, I just tap in a little bit of trunk. All I'm doing is touching, dink, dink, not a solid line. Just maybe some of the trunk you'll see peeking out. So you just put in a little bit here and there. That's good enough. Then we can take just a hint of white. Is it going to come off? I don't think I wanted to come off. Let's try it over here. Oh, that's pretty bright. All right. And then a little bit of, let's say some white and some of that random mountain color. Maybe we can put in a trunk over there. Kind of gives it a old hidden trunk birch thing. I don't know. A lot of this we're not going to see, but it's kind of fun to mess around with it. Maybe something right there. Alrighty. Here comes the fun bit. Let me clean my 1-inch brush here. This particular painting uses a lot of highlights. Lots and lots of paint on the brush. So what I'm going to do, I dipped my brush straight into that liquid white, and I'm just gently grabbing some, not digging into it, just lightly grazing the brush down through the yellow, grabbing a little bit at a time. Eventually, I'm going to have a ton of paint. Look at that. It's starting to gather up and get thinner. Now I'm going to grab a touch of this Sap green, a little bit more. There we go. Lots and lots of color on that brush. Ooh, boy. Playing around here, trying to get that right consistency. And we're going to touch lightly above the dark. Get that paint to come off. And we got a lot of space to cover here, so that's why we really load that brush full of color. A little bit of the green, a little bit of the yellow, plenty of liquid white to thin everything down. And we just find these little spots here, find these little protrusions that we load up with color. There we go. Super bright, huh? Maybe a little brighter. Gotta finish off that little bit. Leave some of that, touch in there. There we go. We gotta leave some of the dark. Okay? Gotta leave some of the dark. Now, with a little bit more of that liquid white, not too much, I'm gonna go right into this yellow ochre. That's already a slightly thinner paint. Loading plenty, but look at that. We want those nice little lacy things living out there on the palette, because those will be out there on your brush. And we find another spot here. Let's say that, oh, there we go. We got another little bushy thing living right there. And a little bit of Indian yellow I'm going to mix into this mixture. It's hard for you to see because, well, I'm not showing the palette, but we'll go ahead and just change up the flavor a little bit. Look what happens. I got all these different colors all in this brush. So as we go down, I can start hitting it, turning the brush sideways and just sort of bending up, and we can get some cool effects that way of all those previous layers of paint just by jamming it in there a little bit. Look at that, that looks pretty sweet. Maybe bring that out a little bit more. There we go. Lots and lots of bright. And I think we're gonna take this brush and we're gonna go over to the other side here. So let me grab a little color, and I'm gonna go a little bit more into the Indian yellow. That's a little honey orange almost. Load in plenty of color. It might not be thin enough, we'll see. And we're gonna load up. Yeah, it does feel a little thick. I'm gonna grab. I just grabbed like 2 drops of paint thinner. I don't want to lighten it anymore. I just want it a little thinner. Well, let's give that a shot. There we go. Little bit of a thinner mix. Allows it to come off quite easily. And then I come back. I'm going to come back to that original yellow greenish color here. Maybe touch of the phthalo blue and sap green. That's loaded up. Working one little bushy at a time. There we go. Now, I think Bob did dive in here and grab a little bit of the bright red, but with all this green and yellow in the brush, kind of dulls that red down a little, which is probably a good thing. This being a kind of a, what do we say, some kind of fall picture? Maybe it would have some deader, duller colors. So I'm going to pull plenty of that red in there, and maybe we'll have a dull red one in there. Oh, that's still pretty bright. Maybe something right there. We could sneak something in that one. But once you go into the bright red, everything just starts dying out on us. So we can come back and just, I'm just going to make this life easy on Ted here. I'm going to grab a fresh 1-inch brush and pull it right through that bright yellow. I don't think we've had a bright yellow one. Just plain old yellow and white. Maybe just the barest hint of green. Not much. Oh, you know what? I did deviate. I didn't do a path. There we go. Scratch through some of these dark areas, add some little sticks and twigs and little Y's and V's, basically. All right. One of the things, oh, we forgot to highlight the evergreen. That's all right. I'm going to turn this brush sideways. Look at that. Turn it sideways. And bring this 1-inch brush to a chiseled edge. A little bit of light green. And I maybe want it a little lighter. I don't know. That looks pretty good. I'm going to come up here and just lightly touch on each of these evergreens, a little bit of highlight. Highlighting with the 1-inch brush looks so much different when you get done than when you do it with the fan brush. I had too much brown there. Something happened. Something went a little sideways on me. Cover it up with a little bit brighter highlight. There we go. Look at that. We've got a finished painting. Just over an hour. Oh, a little late for the boat. Oh man, I keep telling you I got to practice that boat. But look at that little sheen of light. Again, it was something we didn't paint. Found up just a light, perfect amount of mist right there too. When you're doing it, you gotta understand. Hey, you can always put something in front, like I did here, and you can cover up whatever is too much of the previous layer. You know what I mean? So with this one here, it's not often I come all the way down and I'm only have like a third of the painting left. Usually I go a little bit more up here, but this looks good. This looks like you're just coming out of the deep woods, and last two sections there from the right and the left, and oh my God, there's the water. I just want to run right in there and jump in. Wow. All right. Well, that actually turned out fairly nice. I'm pleased with myself. I don't know what that guy called me, a wizard or a lizard or something. Who's to know? But I'm trying to find a liner brush. I thought I had a different one here, but I'll use this one. And I'm going to sign. We're going to go old school. We'll sign it like Bob did with the bright red. A little bit of paint thinner. And we'll go ahead and sign it right there. Just my initials, T and S, and the year. 21. You know, it wasn't much. I think I signed a painting in 20. Signed it as 20 sometime in this past July. But, well, you know, if I could change anything, I would have just done the trees as normal with a fan brush, the evergreens. But that's something. I could see them being nice, smiley evergreens, too. It's just a nice, big, bulky tree. But that turned out pretty nice. Thank you, Sliding Goal. If you ever want to give this a shot, feel free to get in touch with me. I can answer on any and all your questions. I really wish I could do another painting tonight, but it's just not in the cards. It's already 9 o'clock, and I'm an old man now, so I guess I got to go to bed. But I don't have anything else going on this weekend, so you may see me stream again. I'll talk with you guys later. The Instagram, oh yeah, let me just show that to you. It's I'm tedsim. I'll post this up later tonight for sure. But yeah, I do classes in person and virtual. Feel free to get in touch with me if you ever want to take advantage of that. Hopefully you saw that. Now I gotta wait here until you tell me you saw it. Well, thank you. And if you want to subscribe to the YouTube, my daughter's like got double the subscribers as me. So feel free to subscribe to the YouTube. I'll post this up if you want to watch it again and amaze your friends and family. So I will talk with you guys again. Thanks, Sliding and Material and all the rest. Goat. Take care and have a great weekend.